Hello, I'm Landon Schlungen, and today we're going to learn the PERN Stack. We're going to connect everything up together and build a full stack web application. It's going to be a to-do app. And the first part of this is the Postgres, which is a database. And then Express is our API framework. So that's on top of Node.js for building APIs and interacting with the database. And then we have React, which is our front-end framework. That's going to fetch the data from the API and display it on the web page. So to get Postgres, you just go to postgresql.org, download, and you download it for your specific operating system. So Linux, Mac, Windows, whatever those are. And then Express, you can see the docs here if you want to. Like, this is how we make it, make a route. And then for React, we're going to use Vite to create that React project. And then Node.js, just make sure you have Node.js installed. You pretty much need this to do everything else, so it's pretty vital. And then we're going to open up Visual Studio Code, and that's going to be our editor of choice. So I'm going to open up a folder. The folder I'm going to open up is my PERN Stack folder, where I have nothing in it. Yes, I trust the authors. Let's make this a little bigger, and let's show both screens at once. Yeah, let's try that. So I think the first thing we want to do is get the React project up and running. So go to Vite. With npm, we're going to copy this command, npm create Vite at latest. I should have an integrated terminal here. PERN Stack, paste that in, enter project name. We'll do to-do app, and we're going to use React and just plain old React. There we go. It already built our to-do app for us. And to start it, you can see in the package.json, we have a dev script which will run it. So we can do first cd into the to-do app, and then we can do npm run dev. And that will not open it because we have to install our dependencies first. So I'll do npm I to install the dependencies, which is basically just Vite and plug in React. Oh, also React and React DOM. And then we can do npm run dev. Hey, there we go. Localhost 3000, just command click that, and here's our React project. Cool. Next up, we want to put our server in here. So I'm just going to build another folder, just call it server. And inside of that, we're going to have a server.ts or JS file. And this is where we're going to put Express and our backend stuff. So open up another terminal, cd into it. So to do app, and then server. Yep. And then we want to install some dependencies for this, but before we do that, we have to do npm init. So we'll go npm init-y, and that will just instantiate a package.json for us. So now we can install our dependencies. So we'll go npm I, we want Express. And then since we're using Postgres in order to connect with it, we're going to be using a package called PG. So install those, it should be pretty quick. So now we have two node modules folders, one for our front-end React and one for our server. So in here, we're gonna basically copy that this Express code here, and we're gonna use it. To actually start our server, we're gonna have to do app.listen, I believe. So here's our app.listen. I'm gonna do port 5001, just because I don't want to do 5000, I guess. And that should send hello world when we run it. So let's try that quick. We'll go npm. Actually, for this, it's just node server.js, and that will run it. I should actually also add nodemon so that I don't always have to restart it every time. So if I go to localhost 5001, we see hello world because we're sending hello world here. Cool. I'm going to actually install nodemon as well. So we're going to go npm I nodemon. There we go. And inside of our package.json, we're going to have a dev script, which will be nodemon server.js, like so. So now if I go npm run dev here, it starts up with nodemon, and then whenever I make changes here and save it and then just refresh, then it will automatically show up instead of having to restart the server on my own every time, which is very annoying. Next thing, how do we connect to our database with Express? Well, first of all, we should probably build a database. That would probably be helpful. So if you don't have the database, you got to make sure to download it first, or download Postgres first, and then somehow you should be able to go into your terminal and go PSQL and then pick a database that you want to go into. What if I do PSQL Postgres? Okay, so now I'm in the Postgres database, and we want to, what's my user though? I don't know. I'm a little rusty with SQL, so we'll see about this. I should actually also make this a little bit bigger. All right, there we go. So we're in Postgres. I want to, for help, you can do \?, and then it'll give you all these different commands that you can do. I don't want to look at that because I think I know a few of them. We'll go \D to see if we have any tables. We do actually have a to-dos table in here because I was messing around earlier. But I actually want to create a new database instead of this Postgres database. So we're going to go create database. And what do we want to call this? To-do app, maybe? Yeah, we'll call it to-do app. And I need a semicolon there. So now we created the database, and now we can connect to it. Do that with \C and put in the name of the database. There we go. Now I'm connected to the to-do app as user Landon Schlungen. So that's looking good. Now we need to create our table. We're gonna go create table and to-dos. And inside of this, we're gonna have an ID, which is gonna be a serial, and it's also gonna be the primary key. We're gonna have the title of the to-do. So every to-do needs a title. This is gonna be a varchar, so it can be a certain length of characters. We'll go with 100 for the maximum length. That should also be not null. And then we also want a Boolean value for if it's completed or not. Complete. This will be a Boolean default to false. Default false. I think this will work. Let's see. There we go. We created the table. If I go \D now, we see our to-dos and our to-dos ID sequence. That's for the serial, I believe. If I go select all from to-dos, there shouldn't be anything in there. Yep, there's nothing in there, but it shows us our different attributes. In order to insert into the database, we can do insert into to-dos values, and then we specify the title, because all we need is the title since the other two can default. So complete will default to false and ID will default to be one more than the previous one. Values title. How do I do this? If you ever get stuck, you can always go to Postgres and search for insert, and it should show you some examples down at the bottom. Okay, so I need to put the values after this. Insert into to-dos and the title values, and then we'll just do take out trash. Here we go, that inserted into the database. So now if I do that select statement, we see the one record in the database. All right, so now how do we connect to this database? It's actually a lot easier than you would think it would be. Let's just put this over here so that we can still see it. So inside of our server.js, we need to require PG. So we'll go const client equals require PG, like so. And we will actually, we need to destructure that so that we actually grab the client. There we go. And now we can do const client equals new client, instantiate this, and then we got to put some values in here. We're going to have the user, which is going to be Landon Schlungen, the one that it said over here, Landon Schlungen. And then we need the password, and the password I think is just password, defaulted. I think sometimes it asks you to put in a password, but yeah, just make sure you can try and find that. The host is always going to be localhost since we're just on local. The port defaults to 5432, so just use that. And then the database we're using is the to-do app database. So we'll go to-do app, like so, and make sure that's in quotes. All right, now to see if this connects, we're going to call a function that's going to try and connect to it. So async function connect, await client.connect. So that's kind of the magic method, client.connect. And if there's no error, then it means it's connected. If there is an error, then it will tell us. So let's save that, and it says that we are connected. So if there was a if there was an error, let's say I forgot a P on that, then it says connection failed, error, database to do app does not exist. So we got to make sure to have that P, and then it says connected. All right, so now that we're connected to the database, we need to retrieve the data out of here and display on the API. So instead of doing this res.send, we can do /todos. So when we go to the /todos route, we want to actually send some JSON, which is going to be our rows of to-dos. And to get the rows, we're actually going to do another try catch block, just in case there's errors. Inside the try block, we're going to do await client.query, and then we're going to select all from our to-dos. Yes. And then we need to put that into a results variable. And then we can just do res.json results.rows. And that should work just fine. Hopefully that's better. I'm not sure if it is or not, but you guys can let me know if bigger text is better. And then if we catch an error, then we'll just console log it. We'll say there was an error. And I guess we should probably send something too. We can probably send there was an error. It's probably not terrible. Could also do that in a res.json and structure it, but yeah, this is fine. And then default, we can just do res.send or res.json. I don't know, nothing maybe. Just do an empty array by default. Okay, it looks like the app crashed. This actually has to be async because we're using await inside of there. We have to do an async function. And now we saved it and it's connected. And now when we go to localhost 5001 /todos, look at that. We get our record that we put in the database called takeout trash. Hell yeah. All right, next up, we need to consume this API inside of our front-end app. So inside of our to-do app, this front-end is in source, app.jsx is where the code is. Let's get rid of all the default stuff. We can actually keep this use state, and we're gonna use to-dos instead. To-dos and set to-dos. And then to actually fetch our data, we're gonna do a use effect. Hopefully it finds that for me. Okay, it's not for some reason. Use effect, we have to import from React. And this will run just once if we put an empty array at the end of it. This is like the dependency array. And we need to call a function so that it will fetch our to-dos. So we'll go fetch to-dos maybe. And this will be an async function. So we'll go const fetch to-dos equals async. All right, and this is actually going to call our JavaScript fetch function. So we're going to go const response equals await fetch. We got to put this URL in there, localhost 5001 /todos. That will fetch that, and we don't have to add any options since this is a GET request. A lot of times there's authorization that needs to happen that you have to put inside of a bearer token and the headers and stuff like that. We'll do that for the post request. All right, so now that we have this fetch, we can do const data equals await response.json. Since we're sending JSON, we can do that. And then we're going to set our data. So we're going to go set to-dos to the data. And then we can display our to-dos. So we'll just do to-dos, and this is JavaScript, so it has to be in brackets. We'll go to-dos dot map, and for some reason my IntelliSense is just horrible right now. I don't even know why. I'm gonna try reloading this. Dot map, and then inside this we need our to-do, which I'll just call T, and then we want to just, I don't know, do a div with our to-dos in it. So we'll go T dot title to grab the title of it, and it also needs a key. Since it's React, we have to add a key here, and that's going to be the t.id. All right, let's start that. npm run dev, and then also we have to start it for our server, I think. So we'll go npm, we have to cd into our to-do app and our server, and then we'll go npm run dev here as well. And it looks like it crashed here, waiting for file change before starting. Throw error, I spelled something wrong. Oh, 5001's already in use. Oh, okay, so it's still running apparently, even though it's not showing up. Oh well. So if I refresh, this is still running. Okay, so that was a waste of time. All right, localhost 3001. I think that's running too, actually. So I can just do not 3000, I guess 3001. Okay, nothing's showing up. Oh, and I know why. Inspect this and we'll see some errors. And these errors are pertaining to, I believe they're pertaining to cross-site CORS errors. To fix the CORS errors, we go into server.js and we add some middleware. So this middleware is just access control allow origin. We want to allow localhost 3000. I guess if it's 3001 it won't work then. So I might have to restart that. But we're gonna allow post, put, delete, option, and get. And then we're gonna do express.json and express.url encoded extended false. Don't really know what that does, but I'm sure it does something. All right, save that. And I think this is still in use, so no, it's not. Okay, now npm run dev. Okay, so now it's good. Okay, let's go back here. Let's try npm run dev on this again. See if it opens up on localhost 3000. Yep, there we go. Localhost 3000. That's better. And still nothing is showing up. Let's put a title on here. Let's go h1 to-dos. Make sure that shows up. No. Let's inspect. Can't see it because of my face. To-dos.map is not a function. Oh, that's why. I need to default this to an empty array. Oh, there we go. Ooh, you see that? Take out trash. It's showing up. So there we go. We successfully took the data from the database, our Postgresql database, and we moved it to our server. So our server is grabbing it with select all from to-dos. And then our app, our React app, is fetching those to-dos, and then it's setting it inside the state and displaying it on the web page. It's beautiful. Next thing we want to do is be able to post the data to the database, and that's with a post request. And we can do that pretty easily here with just a form, and then we'll put an input in here, and we'll go on change equals set to do. So this will be our single to do that's being created, and we're going to set it with the e.target.value, and then the value of this also has to be the to do, and then we have to set up our state, which is going to be to do and set to do, and it's going to default to an empty string. And then the form, it's going to be on submit. This is so that we can press enter once we're done and it will submit it. So on submit, we can also add a button, like a submit button as well. I think this is fine, but yeah, we should probably add a button. On submit, it's going to, we'll just do submit, or maybe post or create to do. Sure. And this will be pretty similar to this one. So we'll just copy that down. We'll go create to do. It's going to be async function. It's going to be to this path. All right, so our options are going to be method of post. We're going to have headers. This is just so that we can set our content type. So we're going to go content type of application JSON. For some reason it doesn't work if I don't add that. And then we have to add our body, which is going to be just our to do, I guess. And we should actually JSON.stringify it as well. And we'll put it inside braces. Yeah. So there we're sending our to do over, and then we're going to create it on the server. And we don't need to do anything with this data, but we are going to want to fetch to dos again once it's created. So we'll add that function at the bottom. So here's our input, hi, and that got submitted, but we actually need to prevent default. So on submit on a form, it will refresh the page defaulting, and we want to prevent that. So to do that, we'll go e.prevent default, like so. And then when we do this, it won't do that. But I also should set the to do back to an empty string once I submit it. So there, when I press enter, it goes back to normal. But it's not actually saving anything because we need to add that to our server. So we're going to do an app.post to /todos, and instead of select all from to-dos, we instead want to insert. So we're going to go with our insert function, kind of like this. So insert into to-dos title. We can actually just copy that whole thing like we did before. Insert into to-dos title values, except this here is going to be $1, and then at the end, inside of an array, we're going to do rec.body.to to do. Yeah, since that's the key that we're sending over. And then we're going to, we don't need the results. Instead, we're just gonna send over success. Like we'll say status of success. There we go. And that should actually be in quotes. And I think that restarted every time, yep. So let's try that out now. So if I say, hey, it shows up. The best part is if I refresh, it's in the database, so it's gonna show up every time. And also if there's other users that are using this, that will get sent to the database, and multiple people can be on it and share the same data. The other two parts about this to-do app would be a put request for completing the to-do. So being able to like click on this and then it will cross it out and say that it's done. And then the second part would be deleting it. So we'll have like a trash icon or something to delete the to-dos that you don't want to see anymore. But I'll let you guys figure that one out. This was just a video showing how to connect all 4 pieces of the PERN stack. So and it uses Vite using Postgres, and just showing a little bit of what we can do with full stack web application development. Anyways, I hope you liked the video. If you did, make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to comment as well, because I read all the comments. Let me know if you like this kind of video and if you learned a lot and what you learned. And that's it for me. I'll see you later.